Hey!
It's podcast time.
It's podcast time.
And we're all in Jamie's house.
Yeah, in the living room.
Yeah.
Shauni gets annoyed when you call it my house because it's her house as well.
It's my house as well.
We're both on the
Okay,
the
it's
papers.
Jamie's and Shaunie's houses.
Jamie's and Shauni's
Houses.
houses. Yeah. So this is Badger's Burrow number 57. Totally didn't number the last one,
No.
which I think I noticed after I'd finished with it. I was sitting editing it and I was like, we didn't say what number it was. It's stupid.
Yeah. Just Badger's Burrow, is it?
Yeah. It's not consistent in the slightest.
No.
Never has been, never will be.
Love how you just got extremely comfy and put your legs on me.
Yeah, well, you were there. I wanted to lean.
Sorry, to answer your early question, it's still only 2 years.
Is it still only 2 years? So they have changed it back again.
So what we're talking about...
And you can't even drive mopeds anymore
No.
unless you pass your test before 2001.
Which I did not. Because the moped thing used to be added to your licence, but it's not anymore now. It's taken away again.
Yeah.
Because I don't know... That does make sense though, because why would they assume that from passing a driving test you can ride a moped?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally different.
It's
Yeah.
completely different indeed. So...
We've been talking about cars.
We've been talking about cars, driving, all the rest of it. I just want to point out, that this podcast is like we've got 3 more podcasts, including this one. So 2 more after this one.
Mm-hmm.
Then the podcast following that will be talking nothing but RTX, because we will have been by that point.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Technically, the next podcast should... No, not the next podcast. The podcast after that should be Comic-Con, or is it the next one?
It'll just be the next one, because it's
The
end of
next one.
September's Comic-Con, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's next 2 weeks or something.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
This
You
weekend.
guys are going down, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
I don't-
taking our sisters.
I don't think anybody else is, though. Like,
We're not going.
we didn't really plan on going because we didn't really know where we would be, like, money-wise and everything else, and we wanted to make sure that everything was paid for and in place, and we had spending money for RTX, because we're kind of prioritising that. We've been to Comic-Con 2 years in a row.
1 year for me.
1 year for you. Well, I've been to Comic-Con 2 years in a row.
We've
Both
been, like,
times with you
4
guys.
years in a row or something. 3.
This will be our
4th in a row. But it's one of those things that, like, I love going down, I do love it, and I love the atmosphere of it, but I think, like, unless we're going down, like, with people that you know again, like, if we two were going and you two were going, we'd do quite a lot in the evenings, you know, aside from just having walked around the floor. But I kind of find that, like, last year especially, because it was quite similar, after about a day and a half's worth of walking about, that was me done. I could have quite happily left it at that point, because there wasn't as much. I guess it's probably just because I'm not as into all of that as I would probably like to be. There's definitely a lot more niche stuff there than, you know, you originally think. Because when you go, like, there's stuff that anybody would get, but there's a lot more niche stuff that is kind of hidden away for you to kind of find if you're, like, keen-eyed. But I don't really feel like there's all that much that I would even buy at Comic-Con now. I still like to go.
No. I like my wee knickknacks.
You do, but then we were discussing this the other day, that you have way more than I do.
I've got my pop figures, I've got my Adventure Time figures, I've got my little Lego characters.
Yeah, I'm
Got
not
your
like
Pokemon
that. I don't have
plushies.
anything like that at all, and I don't buy stuff like that because, like, I just don't like clutter.
No, I'm very much. You try to say? No, no, I like them, and, like, all the posters we've got up in our living room are from Comic-Con.
But it's one of those things that, like, these pictures on the wall are posters, but we've made them look more like art
Actual
than
artwork.
just posters.
Yeah, it's almost like water, not even watercolour.
It's more like watercolour and
It's more
splatter.
like splashes of, like, Han, Chewie, and the Millennium Falcon, and then we've got the Lord of the Rings one on the other side above Ross as well.
We've
got Disney Castle one of that as well,
Yeah,
which I wanted to put up in the office.
Yeah.
But
We haven't got another frame for it though. That's the problem. But
That's the one. I do buy art stuff, but I'm not gonna
Because like for me, like I was 100% behind buying these things because in my mind that was kind of like what I could actually foresee. If I'm going to buy something to display, I'm like, well, where does it go? Like the one thing that we have a lot of in the house is wall space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we've got another frame that we could put up above the telly, but that our wall really annoys me because we've got 2 bookshelves there, a bookshelf there, and the TV is not centered between the 2 on the wall lights, and it really pisses me off.
Yeah, but it's just because of how the room was designed versus like how it is meant to be. Like this room is not designed the way it originally was because like our back wall of the living room never used to exist. Like the wall behind you guys there never used to exist. It used to be on a big, more open plan living room. So when you consider the position of those 2 wall lights there, it would have made a little bit more sense, and you could have had more stuff going on that wall that would have made it look more centered. But because the wall is where it is now, it doesn't look centered in the fucking slightest. It's so silly.
Even the lights are at different distances away from the end.
Yeah.
Which pisses me off.
But then it's even like if you look at the actual big light, like the light that's originally in the ceiling, it's not in the centre in the slightest.
It's pretty much almost over the door.
Yeah. But it's just because this room hasn't actually been changed much since it was moved into this shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we've gained a cupboard
and
out
then
of
we've
it.
got my pop shelf over in the corner. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like artwork and stuff, yes, I get it. Like my big canvas thing here, that was something I bought years and years ago, and I've always known that I wanted to have that up and have it displayed. Because I like my nice art, but I don't know, it's maybe the one point that we not argue about really, but it's the one point that we're really different on is the fact that you like picking up all your different knickknacks and having them out. I very rarely pick up anything like that. Like I'll kind of save for something like a bigger, better sort of one item.
Actually, do you know what? All my money goes on doing stuff. Like we were just my money goes on like days out, nights out, or like
experiences,
like stuff like that. Like I don't buy stuff.
See, every experience that I go and do though, I'll buy a knick-knack from it. Like when I did a bungee jump, I've got the part of the bungee cord that I jumped with. Somewhere, I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere.
I'm sure you've showed me it before. I do know that you have.
My Adventure Time was from a convention in Perth.
But then I think that's maybe more because of like how even you've said that your mind works. You like to be reminded of these things by having the thing there to trigger the memory.
I've got the worst memory. Like I don't remember pretty much anything before. Like
you sometimes don't remember what you did 3 seconds ago.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot, so I have knick-knacks to help me remember these things, because then when you find it again, you look at it and go, oh, that was a really nice memory.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas if I don't have that, I won't forget it. That's why I'm so hell-bent on taking pictures as well.
See, that's like the big difference from me, because like my mum and dad always used to praise me for like my memory of stuff, like not so much now because we don't watch any of the same TV programs, but like when we used to sit and like watch shows together, like if we were like me and my mum and dad used to sit and watch Walking Dead and Prison Break and stuff like that, we would like not watch or recap anything in between seasons and be watching them when stuff was coming out, and when it was coming up to the season premiere they would literally just ask me a bunch of questions about what happened in the last season and who did what, and I would just like rattle it all off. Like,
see, that's where I'm different though. When it comes to a TV show, I could tell you, like, for example, Game of Thrones, I could tell you exactly everything that happened in pretty much every single episode.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying anything. Just
I mean, it's probably been out long enough now.
Everyone's fucking watched it. Everyone should know. Shags his fucking aunt.
Everybody's seen the spoilers.
I mean, I haven't, but you know, whatever.
No, neither have I.
Well, good thing I didn't say names.
It's not hard to guess.
Oh, Shauni. You said you weren't going to say it, and then you said it. Look what you've got yourself into.
You convinced me.
I didn't convince you of anything.
You said everyone's fucking seen it.
Yeah, I didn't say everybody's seen it, therefore say it. I said everybody's seen it.
You convinced me, so I've ruined it. Like, even just, I've got my Stormtrooper decanter. That was from me leaving work.
Yeah, that's cool though. That's something that I would have. I like that shit.
I'm pretty sure it's got Lafroig whiskey in it.
Yeah. But like, there's just so many things. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just like, it's different chatter for me. Like when you get speaking about like however many years ago, or you chat about something that you went and did, like it brings up memories. Like I don't always like have at the forefront of my mind that I went with Ross and Jess to Comic-Con 2 years ago, but every time I remember it, I remember the fucking video of Ross trying to jump over his own leg. And then I go and watch that video because I still have it.
Can I just, every single time you mention going to Comic-Con with Ross and Jess, I remember you showing me that video.
It's a good video.
Video.
It sums up that night perfectly.
Can I just point out the other Ross video from the last Comic-Con of him trying to put a duvet
Where is that video? I need that video.
You have it.
I don't think I do.
You had it. You were the one. It was on your phone because I filmed it.
Oh fuck, I must have it then.
And it was just fucking hilarious.
It is quite funny. These videos need to come out.
Yes.
From all, like, at this point it's going to be years old.
Yeah,
this shit needs to come out. Like,
you should just do a Ross compilation.
But then
well, we released the video of how do I steam. We can just put it out as like how do I duvet? How do I leg jump? Like,
how do I videos courtesy of Ross. By the way, you missed it. There was a pizza man that came down our pathway and then walked away with pizza, and I got really upset.
it's not for us because we haven't ordered it. We
don't
might go
care
out for food though. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I went to that
Let Ross drive my car.
Mexican place in Dundee, you know, the wee Mexico where it's vegan and stuff as well.
Is it just called?
It's opposite
Wee
Dr.
Mexico.
Noodles.
Is it actually
Yeah.
genuinely called Wee Mexico?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen loads of like.
It was just so
like,
good.
Not the sign twirlers, but the guys that are literally paid to stand with a fucking sign that has
But
the
then
deal on it.
it's a bit like, it reminds me of like Glasgow because it is a bit of a dive when you go in, like when you go to Sit and Bitty, but it's lovely.
But I think that Ross is currently reaching for my owl that last time he was here he filled with minstrels and now he wants to
No,
eat
it wasn't
minstrels.
Ross that did that.
No, that was
It was
Callum.
Callum. Callum filled it with minstrels.
That was my boy.
But I was really confused of how he got them in there for like a good 10 minutes. I forgot you just take the bottom off. It's like, how did he fit them through
He
the coin
did
slot?
try and put them in the coin slot.
I like that you would have done that first and then worked it out.
Oh.
Ross, I want to talk about PUBG for a little bit.
Yeah, on you go.
Fucking PUBG. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Holy shit, the
Good
game's
game.
so fucking good.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's so silent, there's so much tension, there's just, it's
And then
just,
everything happens at once.
I don't understand why it's so fucking addictive to play a game where you can literally spend 45 minutes alive in a game, the entire time you've not seen anybody, you've gathered exceptionally good equipment, you get to that 46th minute where there's only about 20 people left and you just go, I see someone! I'm dead.
Yep.
And then you're just like, right, let's do it again.
Because it's only like a minute to get back into another game.
Yeah, it's so fast to get into another game. I love how quick it is. I love that you don't have to wait for the game to end, especially when you've only got the one life. There's like so many game modes and so many different games that have like a one life feature to them. Like GTA's Last Team Standing stuff, where you've got the one life, and there's a lot of game modes based around that, like sumo and stuff. Love those game types. The only thing I hate is that if you go out really early and the game lasts quite a long time, you're just kind of stuck watching people for ages. And there's nothing really you can do to speed up getting back into a game. I love the fact that, especially because even if you play solo, squad or duos, no matter what you play, you tend to stick with your team. When one of you goes down, it's not very often that the other one's left alive for a particularly long time following that.
Apart from that game with me and you.
There's been a couple of times with me and you. There's been once where you've went out dead early, and there's been a couple of times when I've went out dead early because I'm trying to be like too aggressive.
Yeah.
But
No,
then
there's
there's
that one though that you went out dead early,
Mhm.
and I stayed alive for ages. Remember when I was in the house and I smoked the other house because there was two guys in it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that one.
and then I flashbanged myself.
Yeah. For a
And
good
then they were
measure.
gone.
It was like you created their own magic trick.
Yeah.
I wonder if they heard that. They were just maybe like, he's flashbanged himself, let's go. The blue was coming in. Like, is there a proper name for that shit, by the way, apart from the circle,
blue.
the white zone and the blue zone?
Blue. Circle blue.
Because I always just say the blue's coming, and I say we need to get to the white.
Yeah. White
Like-
zone. White zone's its like proper name, I think.
Yeah. But like I've heard a load of people calling it the circle,
There is a circle, yeah.
and that makes sense as well. Like I don't
The
think,
circle's closing in, yeah.
and it's also one of those games where I think it, for me anyway, it kind of harkens back to my love of more retro titles. like, because you discovered it because you played Sonic Mania, that your first ever Sonic game that you actually picked up for the first time.
No, I played Sonic Unleashed.
First ever good Sonic game that you've ever played. But like, it was your first ever like retro style Sonic game that you've ever played, and you were very confused by the fact that you were in the game and you were like, it's not told me what the controls are.
No,
Like,
I never said that. You came through, and because you're so into the game, you instantly come through. Right, you won't know what the controls are. You'll won't know this.
no, you said what are the controls?
No, you
And
said
then-
you came in and basically just
No,
went. You
I'm
don't know what the
telling you.
controls are.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Then I said, well,
I'm
what
telling
are
you.
they?
I'm telling you. You said what are the controls?
I
That's
did
fine,
after you said you won't know what the controls are.
But then that's part of the charm of the games like that is not telling you anything and just letting you discover it. See if I had played PlayerUnknown before watching any videos on it or watching people like discuss how the game works. When it said proceed to the white zone, I would have been like, or what?
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would have stayed. Probably would have gotten hurt and died from the blue. It's those kind of things. Like, it doesn't explain it to you. It doesn't explain anything to you. It doesn't explain where the best equipment's going to be. It doesn't explain how to control the game. If you go and look up the controls, fine, they're there. But you just have to assume most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that it tells you pretty much nothing.
I think one of the good things about the game as well is I've not played it personally, but I'm obsessed with watching other people play it.
Yeah.
Like I came in from night out and instantly came through and sat and watched you and Ross play it.
Yeah.
And I find I actually enjoy it more when you guys are playing it, because at least then when I say there's someone over there, you can actually listen rather than me watching it on YouTube and going,
there's someone over there.
There's someone over there. They fucking missed it.
Yeah.
Done. They're dead.
It is something that, like, me and Ross kind of work a bit like that when one of us goes out and one of us is left alive.
Yeah.
We kind of act as the second pair of eyes for the other person just to try and give them the best chance possible.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't make a hell of a lot of difference, but sometimes it's made big differences to the way that we've played.
Because there was that one time
I spotted the guy on the roof and
you
the door
spotted the guy on
open.
the roof and I didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And I got killed out of that.
Yeah, you did. Because I ended up kind of like... Especially with like, because you were just sitting in the house, or it might not have been that game, but there was definitely another game where you were sitting in a house, sitting really still, watching one part, and I was just like, sounds like he's downstairs. Like, I was literally sitting with my eyes closed, because you weren't moving, your screen wasn't moving, you weren't going to see anything new. I was sitting with my eyes closed, really trying to focus on my hearing, and I was sitting with my eyes closed, and I just went, sounds like he's downstairs. He's opened the door, he's went outside, I hear the grass crunching, he's on your right. And then that's when you moved and looked out and he was there and you shot him.
Yep.
Like, I remember doing that a couple of times, like guiding you by sound.
There was also, I was watching you play before, that when Jamie was in, I think you were on like the first floor of a house and Ross was in the house opposite you, upstairs. And
in the apartment.
Jeep came right next to the window you were at. And you were able to tell before it was even in your sight exactly where it was coming in from, and it was just by chance that it stopped right next to you. That was lucky. You got like 2 kills out of that.
I got 3 kills out of that. That was a really good game for us.
It was.
We got
We got 22nd in that one.
Yeah, we got up.
No, we got less than that.
Yeah, we were higher up than that. Because we got those 3 kills. We downed somebody else. We downed another 2 people, but they got themselves back up. Ross got sniped, and I got kind of edged out by the blue because I was forced to move up, but I couldn't stand up. I was in a field of pain, and it was just so bad.
Because that was when we found the Car 98 for the first time.
Yeah, and you had a proper sniper scope on it, and it was working really well. Like, there's just so much that goes partly to chance in that game, and it's just partly like otherwise. What are you laughing at?
Just Ross sitting eating the minstrels out of the owl.
Out of the owl's arse.
Give me some rectum minstrels.
There's a 50 pence in there and it's getting in my way.
Is there a 50p in it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, that one was for the silver and the other one's for the copper.
I don't remember putting 50p in it.
I always end up spending my silver ones. I don't keep them.
Yeah, like, see, 5p's, I'll put in something like that, and
Yeah.
then eventually take them down somewhere, but like...
Just take them down.
Spend them.
Yeah.
Take them downtown.
Take them downtown. No, take them in like cash bags and put them in the bank or something like that after they made a few quid.
What I found with PUBG though, Jamie,
Yeah.
I'm good at long range,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at short range, and I'm shit at medium range.
I found that a lot as well, and I didn't think I would be, because I'm normally, we've discussed this while we've been playing, that me and you often play games either exactly the same way or polar opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you are a little bit polar opposite for PUBG, because you like short range and long range, I like the mid-range play, but with PUBG, I don't know if it's just I haven't quite worked out the bullet drop, because it's got bullet drop mechanics, it's got all that sort of stuff.
You got to lead them
into it.
and things like that.
You got to lead them, you got to work it all out. It's got all that in it, and I don't know if I've just played too many games recently where that hasn't been a feature. So I'm just a little unfamiliar with it. I often find at mid-range, I very rarely hit anybody. And by the time I've hit them, they've normally hit me back harder, because they've had more experience with it. That was something that you commented on before I even got PUBG, Shauni, was the fact that for like the game's been out for a fair while now. Loads and loads of people have got it and play it like really super regularly.
That was the reason why I never really wanted to start playing it. However, after seeing you and Ross play it,
and do quite
it's
well,
actually making me want to play it. Because
it's one of those things where
I was worried because it was going to be something like, for example, Crucible and Destiny, when you go
or like a deathmatch in Call of Duty, like where if you join the game too late, the other people know the map too well, they know their weapons and their loadouts too well.
Whereas because PUBG is so random, like the circle could go anywhere.
Yep.
The drops are
fairly
anywhere.
random.
Yeah, fairly random.
You're guaranteed to get better shit in some places.
Yeah.
But even
cities, hospitals, school and that, you're kind of guaranteed to get better.
Like your prison and stuff like that.
That's kind of just standard because it's the places where most people will go.
Yeah.
But even that, you might find the odd weapon that's like, you might find, is it a Scar it's called?
Yeah, the Scar.
You might find that out randomly in a random house that's on its own.
Well, I'm pretty sure the time that we got that ×8 scope and the car, I'm pretty sure we found the ×8 scope in a shack just sitting on its own.
Well, remember when Ross managed to get the ×8, ×4 and ×2?
Yeah, but no gun.
Yeah.
No gun, but no gun. No gun.
Because
But
it's
you still
like,
managed to find
all these scopes, but no guns to put them on.
You just put a ×8 scope on a pistol.
Yeah.
Just because it was somewhere to put it. But the game is a bit random, and even when you're up against people that are way more familiar with the game than you are, if they don't get their equipment that they play well with, you can still outpace them.
Even then, though, you can't see where anyone is on the map or anything like that. For example, those people that pulled up in the car right next to the window you were at.
Yeah, because it was
it's chance.
And it's one of those games, and I don't often say it, but it's one of those games where I would say headset required.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Like it's and I'm not talking about like maybe a half decent pair of like earbuds or something like that. You want proper surround sound over the ear headphones to play with, like what me and Ross have, because without it you just cannot distinguish where people are. You need that shit set properly, because it helps
you can
so
hear
much.
Bullets drop and everything.
You can hear where they're fired from. You can hear them drop. Potentially my one gripe in the game is that every single gun from a distance sounds exactly the same. Actually, most of the guns in the game sound exactly the same. But that's partly a good thing and partly a bad thing, because you do not know what you're getting shot with.
Yeah.
You do not know how much it's going to hurt.
You can kind of tell if it's a rifle or a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely a shotgun, because a shotgun's a very distinctive sound now.
Yeah.
But you can't tell which pistol.
Yeah, and there's been and you can't tell which rifle, and the rifle difference could be between like having like maybe a micro Uzi or a UMP to having a Scar that's much better at the range.
Or like having an LMG as opposed to just an ordinary assault rifle.
Yeah.
Or the VSS sniper rifle to the car. The VSS is shit.
In comparison.
Pistol ammo.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bad gun all over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny, like, if you've got a squad of 4, or even if you've got the two of us, Ross, if you had the VSS and a shotgun, and that was all you'd managed to find, and I had like a UMP or something like that, if I was playing the closer range and you were on the hill like sniping, if I could drag them out and you could get a couple of shots off and then I could finish them off, it's got its place.
It does.
But it's nowhere near as good as having some of the better weapons in the game, and just having any particular type, because like it's one of those games where I genuinely feel like every single gun has basically a counter weapon to it. There's no gun that on its own is the perfect weapon.
No.
Because it's like if you come up against somebody that's got like a Scar on single fire with a long range scope on it, or they've got like a Car 98. If you come at them with like if you rush them with a shotgun or even a micro Uzi, you'll easily take them down because they just do not have the firepower to put out at short range. And again, totally counteractive. If you spot somebody in the distance that only has a pistol or a shotgun and you've got a car, you've got plenty of time to fucking hone them before they're a problem to you.
You know what's a great weapon? The sickle.
The sickle is really good.
Because that game, we landed at the shooting range.
Yeah.
You landed first, and there was 2 other people that landed with us.
Yeah.
And you got into a fist fight with one of them.
And they started running from me because they were really low on health. Yeah. You found a sickle and started chasing it. It was me, it was the guy that I was chasing, me, the guy that was chasing me who was trying to protect his friend, and then you chasing him. It was just 4 people
it was like
running in a line.
And then you managed to chase your person into a bit where I was like, fuck, if I quickly dart left, I can cut them off.
Yeah.
So I darted left, jumped over a wall, and then I just stood there, sickle in hand, and they ran right up to me and I just slit their throat.
Yeah, with a sickle. And then we had the other guy come in as well.
Yeah.
And try and kind of help his buddy, and we just took him down as well.
And then I turned around and found an Uzi and just loaded a whole clip into the person that had cut their throat.
Yeah.
Because they were still calling.
Because the other guy we managed to damage quite a bit. Like, I got a punch on him, I'm sure you got a slice on him. The other guy must have been way more hurt if he went down in the one hit from the sickle.
Well, yeah, you'd been hitting him for a bit.
Yeah, because I'd hit him quite a few times and I'd got a Superman punch on him, which does quite a bit of damage, especially if you're unarmoured.
Yeah.
But the other guy managed to get away. I don't think we ever found him again. We have no idea like where he ended up.
Maybe he was the one that won.
Well, he could have been, because we didn't win that game. You know, like, I think that was something that you said at one point, Jess, in the background. I heard you say, "Oh, did yous win?" And my reaction to it was literally to say, "No, Jess, when we win, you'll fucking know, because it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
Out of 100 people, we will be the last 2 remaining. Not only does that take a fair amount of luck, it also requires pretty much near perfect concentration from both of us."
I really like how you can be in teams as well. Like, it's not just you throw everyone into a match and sure you can team up, but you don't know if that person's going to double cross you or not.
I guarantee you they would.
Yeah, they would, obviously.
Especially in a match where only one person can win.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it as well, because you have the team aspect.
Yeah, you can play in teams of up to 4, I think it is, in a squad, right?
Yeah.
No, it's up to 6, is it not?
No, it's 4.
Is it 4? I thought it was up to 6.
4 in a squad.
It must be more than that, because think about oh, I can't even remember their name now.
Do your words.
Group on YouTube.
There's many.
God.
So I'm trying to think. Yeah, no. It wasn't
Funhouse?
Yeah, that one.
Funhouse.
They had about 6 people in their team when they joined with Achievement Hunter, because they were a team of 10. Well, they combined their teams to equal 10.
It's currently 4.
Is it currently 4?
But then
How did that work then?
Because they're playing on a private server, they may have the ability to switch around how many people can be on a squad.
It says 6.
It's maybe an update that's came out since we last
No,
spoke.
that's for a different one. That's
Alright.
so it's 4.
Because like I imagine for your big group game, 4 would be your limit. But if you're playing on a private server, you could maybe have teams of up to 6.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to stop you setting different rules for private servers.
Exactly.
Yeah, I forgot it was on a private server.
And then you've got your duos as well, which is pretty much what me and Ross stick to. I like the duos a lot. I've played the free for all a couple of times, and it is mad. It is so mentally mad. It's
a lot. I find it a lot more fast paced.
It is a lot more fast paced. A lot of people go out a lot earlier, and you can get down to like the 40s and the 30s before the first circle is even happening.
Yeah.
Because when you've got duos, it's quite like this is even bigger if you were playing in a squad of 4. We've never played in a squad of 4 yet. But I know a lot of other people that play that game that would probably quite happily sit and play with us for a couple of matches. So we will absolutely get some squad games on the go at some point. And
I want it to come out on Xbox.
I would love. I don't think it'll be as good on Xbox. The inventory management's going to be rubbish.
See,
it's a PC game, definitely. That's where it's going to be the best.
That's the thing. I really want to play it, and I would love to play it with you guys, but I don't have a PC that would be able to do
it
yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yet.
Like it's just one of those things. Like I like I say, I do know a lot of people that do play that game an awful lot. That like literally pretty much live on that game. Plenty of people that I know, like from my work, from other places in life, just from general like Googling around, you can probably find people that are wanting to play with other people. You know, that have good headsets, that have good mics, that are perfectly happy to play in a squad. Like we would get team games in. What I like about the duos versus like if you're in free for all, there's just people go everywhere, scatter everywhere, every single corner of the map that you can think of, people will go. And that means that people are getting taken out quite quickly because everybody's against everybody. Everybody's going to turn on everybody the second they get a chance.
Yeah.
In duos, it's cut down a little bit because when you have... And I don't know if it's just the anti kind of free-for-all mentality. Because when it's free-for-all, you can land beside 4 people. That'll fight itself down to 1 or 2 that maybe scarper off in different directions. And then that kind of area is done. It's looted... It's done with, probably nobody will go back there because nobody will come across it again. Duos is different because when you drop in as 2, if there's another 2 people, they'll either drop with you, trying to get to the equipment first and take you out early. Most of the time, if you go in confidently enough to an area, everybody else will scarper out because they want to keep both of the members of their team alive as long as possible. Both get good equipment and then both work up towards taking people out.
So what me and you usually do is we try and
predict where most people will go from where the plane is, and we try and go nearby, but in a more rural area, to just get a couple of houses or a couple of cabins to ourselves, to look through the items, get some semi-decent stuff, then move into the better area after all the fighting's cleared out. Because the best thing about the duos is that you can genuinely have, like, say 6 or 8 people, even 10 people land in one area. They'll either freak each other out and they'll still leave some decent loot, or all the teams will kill each other. Like, legitimately, every single person will die.
And you could be left with, like, one person, which would be, like, half health.
Yeah.
And that's when the 2 of us roll in.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got decent equipment, and they're scared to move because they don't know how many people are left in that area. Like, it was a big worry about me going into it. I must say, I shared your worry if people were just too used to it. Too much of it relies on positioning, luck, and everything else. There's not a huge amount that you can do. Like, as somebody that's...
You can know the maps, you can know, like, where stuff is likely to spawn.
You can kind of try and play towards getting the better stuff. But there's still no guarantee that you'll get the best stuff, even when you go for that. So, it is one of those games that I think it will be timeless. They're bringing out a second map for it. That's meant to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's a really good thing.
It's not meant to be a city.
I think so. Yeah, it's meant to be a much because like the map that they've got at the moment, if you haven't played, anybody listening, is kind of set up where you've got like a runway sort of area. You've got a military base, which is the runway as well. You've got kind of I want to say like maybe 5 bigger cities, 5 bigger areas.
Yeah, you've got the school, which is a hot point.
You've got the school and the
Ruins.
power plant, which is a kind of hot point as well. There's certain areas that are definitely hotter than others. But
there's a lot of just like open fields and that with like little, like 1 or 2 houses dotted.
Yeah.
Every like.
Generally speaking, I would say it kind of reminds me of like maybe the Ukraine or Russia.
Yeah, I would say Ukraine.
I would say Ukraine is a good example of where scenery-wise it would remind me of, because there's a lot of flat and a few hills and mountains dotted about, and most of it is essentially farmland and very scattered housing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of very built-up areas, whereas I think the next area that they're going to try is going to be more reminiscent of a city. So, from what I've seen of it so far, it looks like there's going to be a lot of play involved in do you hit the street or do you hit a roof? Do you work bottom up or top down? Because that's even part of like what we do in the map as it is.
We always try and, like, if we're landing at the school, we go for the roof.
Yeah, because we pretty much hit the roof, jump into the second floor, get guns as fast as possible and clear it.
The other folk that land on the roof will get the guns that are on the roof and try and kill everyone. which gives us just enough time to jump in the 2 hatches, go down into the classrooms and bunker down in a classroom till someone comes in to check it, and then we blast them to bits.
The one thing that I've found is a massive issue, and I don't know if it's just because I'm running wireless on my PC at the moment. You might be finding the same thing, because you run in a kind of wireless setup. I find that the lag can be very variant on it, because I don't doubt everybody that's playing has got a PC that's of standard to run the game at its frame rate. That wouldn't affect how they actually play the game itself. But what really bothers me is that there's been a couple of times where I really do feel like I've nailed people with shots and it's just not hit them, and it's just because of the lag. And there's a couple of times when people have kind of jumped about the screen at just the wrong time.
What I find quite often is that I'll walk up to a door and press F to open it,
and it just won't work properly.
It won't open, so I'll press F again, thinking, oh, maybe I wasn't close enough when I pressed it, or it didn't register.
Yeah. And then it glitches open and then shuts.
It glitches open, then it glitches shut, and then it goes open again. Yeah. And I go to walk through it, and there's an invisible wall.
Yeah.
And it still says press F to open.
Yeah. I kind of, I won't lie, one time I did use that to my advantage, because when it had glitched, it looked open on my screen, but it said F to open. I just trusted that it was actually shut in the game world, and I just sat waiting at it. And one guy did come up to it, and then it opened again for real, and I fucking shot him because I seen him. I knew exactly where he was.
You just shot him through the door.
Probably, it would have been funnier, but
would have pissed him right off.
It would have, yeah. There's so many moments in that game that piss me off. But the thing is that it's very much like you playing Cluster Truck today. You get so angry when you've had a good clean drop. You get a nice quiet time to get your equipment together. You're even in the first circle when it starts to close in, so you can get yourself in a semi-decent position, and then you decide to move, or you decide to move up and try and get in a decent position again. You get in the wrong position at the wrong time and get taken out, and basically lose all of your good luck and your good wishes.
Yep.
Almost immediately after starting. And it's just so fucking frustrating, because you're just like, that was such a good start, and I went out so early. But I've totally adapted to the different styles of play, because when I first played, I was really shy and defensive playing with it. I much prefer playing a little bit more aggressive now, because there's a couple of games we've had where we've gone for the school, or we've gone for the hospital, or we've gone for the prison, and you get in conflict straight away. Right? The shooting range one's a good example as well. You get in conflict straight away.
I would say the hospital is probably the best one.
That's the best one that we've ever done, for sure. But it's one of those that you do get in that conflict straight away. It's really hot straight away, and it's really panicky straight away. But the great thing is that if you get the better equipment first and claim it first, you can get some dead good equipment and move on.
Yep.
If you don't, you are dead at that point, but you just get into a new game and start again. It's it minimises the frustration, because even if you're there and you get a couple of kills and then get taken out by other people that are there, you get just about as much points as lasting into the 40s.
Yeah.
Or even the 20s without getting a single kill, because your reward for certain games can be pretty pitiful. I've made it up to some pretty fucking high numbers.
What I've found is best for points, for me anyway, is if we get 1 or 2 kills and then we last until the 20s or 30s.
That's good points wise, yeah.
Because you get the boost to the points from the kills, and then you get the points for all the the staying alive for as long as you did.
Yeah. It's kind of risk reward as well. The longer you stay in the games, the more reward points that you get. I also kind of like that while I'm encouraged from the game to spend a lot of time looking for stuff and being cautious and taking my time, I'm just as encouraged by being aggressive in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just that particular setup or what it is. I just think it works so well. And it's the fact that those points that you get at the end of the game, they mean nothing. They don't give you loadout options, they don't give you anything, it's just cosmetic upgrades. Yep. But I always want to keep going for them. I just want to keep going for them, and it's something that I just keep wanting to work towards, and it's a real testament to a game of how fun it is when you want to work towards something that means nothing.
Yeah.
That is always what I really like about games. It's something that I really hated towards the end of Destiny 1's run, is the fact that I felt like I was constantly working towards something but not getting anywhere. Whereas some of the funnest times that I've had in that game were when the Prison of Elders first came out, because it was really quick to get from the old max light level to the new max light level in that particular update. And just because you could get there so quickly, you were just then working for even better equipment and cosmetic items, and I loved working towards that stuff. I loved working towards it at my own pace, enjoying it and doing what I wanted. When it got to like Rise of Iron stage of Destiny 1, I was just fucking hating it because everything was just a total grind every single time. Because it wasn't like, between the first raid coming out and the second raid, like Crota's coming out, it was like you could get to the stage where you were kind of ready for Crota fairly quickly past the end of the first stuff. And when you'd mastered Crota, that was great. And then when Prison of Elders came out following that, again, it was quite a quick jump. Taking King even to a point was a fairly quick jump to the point of being ready.
Yeah,
it was a lot longer than the previous ones, but it was a better paced one, I thought.
Yeah, the raid to get to hard mode
was a big grind, but getting into the normal mode raid wasn't actually too bad. And then I think Rise of Iron, for me at least, maybe took it a bit too far, because it really felt like going back to square one grinding in Destiny, where it was trying to get that really good equipment drop, trying to get the stuff that you needed, and it just felt so fucking tediously slow that it dropped me off it. Like, I don't think we ever got even a single try of that raid. And Destiny 1's pretty much gone now. We never will try that raid.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we could always go back to it.
I don't think we can, because did they not fully shut down Destiny 1?
I don't think they did.
To jump to Destiny 2?
If they did, that's a pretty shitty way.
It's a forceful way to get people to buy the new game. But I reckon that the way that they're also thinking about it is the people that have literally paid like 40 quid every single time something minimum and new has come out, that if they've got to pay another 40 quid just to jump game, they'll do it again.
It's a good way to piss a lot of folk off, though.
Exactly, especially the ones that were still working towards stuff in Destiny 1 and wanted to do that before the second came out. I don't know what the stance on it is. I was under the impression that they basically shut Destiny 1 out. And they've just basically made people go towards Destiny 2.
Pretty much, by the sounds of things.
Like, that's how I'm feeling it sounds, but I don't know if that's maybe just how people are feeling, because the very few people left playing Destiny 1 that are still working towards stuff on that have kind of been left on their own now. Are you going to pick it up? Like, I'm personally, I'm not encouraged to pick it up.
I kind of want to.
We spent a lot of time playing the first one.
I feel...
But here's my barrier to it, right? First one was really good because I could enjoy playing it on my own for quite a lot of time, and then when it came time to get people together, it was just a process of kind of jumping into teams of 3 to make up your 6, to finish off bits and pieces to get everybody up to a light level that was acceptable to do the next big raid or something like that. Then you got your 6 together, then you trugged through the raid and tried to work stuff out and moved through it and tried to get everything to work. And you know, you would kind of then work on your teamwork and everything else from there. And when the raids were working well, it was brilliant to actually work together as a team and nail those raids. Was a genuinely really, really good feeling. Really really not even relaxing, but really encouraging feeling. Very rewarding feeling. Yeah, it's definitely the word I'm looking for. It's a really rewarding feeling you get from working towards people that genuinely, like, you can't have a loose link in Destiny. It's not one of those raid structures where, because I've seen it in World of Warcraft and stuff like that, and certain dungeons, if people are over leveled or if you've got a particularly good team of 4 that's always up the front, they'll literally do most of the work for you.
Everyone else just kind of picks off the ads.
And everybody else is kind of just picking off stuff here and there and not really doing much. And then suddenly everything's done and finished, and you've beat it. It was one of those things that, for me, Destiny was, because it was limited to 6 people, it was only those 6 people. There was a couple of raids, especially the early ones, where you could massively be pushed forward by 1 or 2 people being really good at it, but there was always a point where it came down to 6 people genuinely needing to work in sync, and not one person could be out of that loop.
Yeah, because there was a few times where me and Alex would be able to do the start of the Crota raid. For ages that was just right, Ross, Alex, you do your thing,
Everybody else sit down.
Everybody else sit down. And then we would get to the next spin. It's like, right, okay, well, we need Ross, you go across the bridge. Everybody else kill yourself. Jamie, you res and just sit and snipe stuff.
And like
get everybody else up.
What I really loved as well about the layout of that game was, and I don't know if it's just because of the group that we've worked up in, but see when we originally went into the raids and before people started using alternative characters and kind of switching around, like when we just had our primary classes, the ones that we ended up, we tried out every class, I think every single person did. They were always stuck with one. And that was our kind of primary. And what I loved about our group was that we had two of each. We had two
warlocks.
Two warlocks, two hunters, and two
Titans.
That's the word I'm looking for. I wanted to call them guardians, but that was the name for all of them. But I loved that we had that set up almost completely accidentally, and it was also the fact that between me and Stephen as the warlocks, I liked to play the Sunsinger because I was always the fallback and the resurrection guy. He liked to play the Void Warlock and do area of effect damage and ad control. When it came to the hunters, you guys used to switch a lot more than normal, but for a long time it used to be you, Ross, with Golden Gun and Alex with Blade Dancer, and again that was the opposites. And then
I was always Shadow Shot.
When it came to hunters, but you joined in later on.
Yeah.
And then like we had
when Shadow Shot came out, that's the one I tended to prefer.
And then
it was the best out of all three.
And was it not Gary and Chris that used to be our
Titans?
That used to be our Titans, yeah.
Yeah, Emma as well.
And Emma as well would often do that, and quite often we would always have one that was the bubble shield one and one that was the striker. And again, that just worked out so well that we had all these classes that could do all these different things. We had all that stuff. When they added some of the other classes in, I felt like it got a little bit unbalanced because it just turned into, if you're a warlock, you should really play Sunsinger. If you're a hunter, you should really play Shadow Shock. If you're a Titan, you can either play Bubble Shield or Hammer, but either way, you've got to be buffing your other players all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those things that became very much like it didn't deliberately do it, but it was just the best way to play, especially in your raid forms, was just to work like that.
Sorry, just to butt back to conversation before, they're not cutting the servers for Destiny 1.
They're not, no, so that's still on the go. Because it is something like I would like to get back to it, but the only other problem I have right now is that even if all of us get it, we've got one missing from the fire team. We don't have a fire team of 6 at the moment. But Callum wants to do it, and Emma's back in playing it, so between those two we could probably have that work. My only other issue is time to play games together.
Yeah.
When we used to play Destiny together a lot.
It was almost every night.
We used to do both raids, both hard modes every week, and play a decent amount of Crucible together. We used to play everything all the time, every single week, do all the weekly stuff, everything together. Every single week on repeat, and that's how we got to the stage where we were working so well together.
Yeah.
To the point where we could we literally had a chat, like literally. I'm pretty sure one time we did the entirety of the Crota raid on hard mode without failing once. Pretty sure only like 2 or 3 people died during the whole thing, and we finished it and we were just like, oh, that was hard mode, by the way, that time. And we literally just sat and spoke about like a pig on a scooter or something the whole time.
That was the thing.
When
we first managed to do it, it was a case of, on hard mode, it was a case of we were all trying way too hard at the start. We were giving up, said it was our last run, and we basically were all half-assing it. And that was the time that we did it.
Was the time that we relaxed and actually took it a bit easy.
It was that time we were trying to do hard mode on Oryx. And like you're saying, we were all like really tense. We were getting really stressed out, and we were just like, right, let's just all calm down. And I was like, yeah, just be calm, just be cool, relax, take it easy. We went into the next match, and we got the furthest we'd ever got, and I just kept going, everybody relax, just stay calm, nobody panic, we can do this, nobody panic. And like the whole time, like Alex is shouting like commands, and like he's like, oh, so and so needs to do this, and so and so needs to do this, and I'm just running around as my hunter, because in that bit I knew my role, like perfectly.
I knew just to run in a circle.
Yeah. So like everything I was doing, it was just muscle memory. So I was just like, just relax. It's okay. It's calm. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. It's good. Everything's fine. It's all good. And we won, and I was like, that was clearly just me, but keeping everyone calm.
No, but that's the thing as well. When we got to the end of that, I was sitting going.
I couldn't stop laughing at Ross, but as the thing is, he was stopping me from getting tense and stopping me logging
that's
up.
what I was about to say, because I panicked a lot, and Ross was just like, stay calm, just go round circle, that's it. It's okay, just stay calm, just stay calm, it's okay.
And like, because when that bit ended,
guys,
when we were running away from the
like,
orbs and everything like that.
What the fuck do we do now?
Like,
Ross, just stay calm.
Yeah, and like it got to the end of the orbs running a bit, and then it's like, alright, the orb phase is done now. Everybody get position one, everybody. Oh, position 2, never mind.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, and we're running now.
We're running now, and everything's on fire. Don't worry. I'll put itself out.
Just keep going.
Don't worry about that.
I'm pretty sure at one point
just stay calm, it's okay.
I went, okay, everybody, and it's circle time. Everybody run. Alex, you don't want to run over there. That's Shauni's running in here. Run down here. And I'm just running around. Like there's explosions everywhere. People are like really close to that, and I'm just like, you don't want to run over there.
Do you know what it actually reminds me of?
That.
I don't know why I'm putting this two and two together. You know the scene in X-Men? Newest one where Quicksilver just runs through the burning building, just super calm. That was Ross in that moment.
Yeah.
But it is shit like that. Like, I've got really genuinely brilliant memories of that game, and I absolutely love it. And I really do want to pick up the second one because I want to jump back into a game that we all put a lot of time into in our own time, and then deliberately try and get together to do the bigger stuff.
See, actually talking about it now, I actually really want to go on and play it. Like, even if it is just the first one, play one again for a wee bit, and just get back into the swing, because
it's something that both me and Alex really praised about the first one, is that it was grindy, even from the get-go. It was grindy, it was a bit slow-paced, there wasn't really much to it in a lot of ways, but you couldn't deny, as a fucking shooter, the mechanics were fucking tight as shit, and everything felt like it worked really well.
One of the good things about the game is, because I came into it, a year and a half late to everyone playing it, and it was very good because you guys, I did piggyback off you guys quite a bit for a lot of it, but it got to the point where I felt like I could just join in. It's going to the same thing of what we were saying earlier about PUBG. I felt like I was able to go into the game. I was fairly low level,
but then between everyone kind of helping out and getting to the point where you kind of hone down the skills.
Yeah, because
I actually felt like I ended up being quite good at that game.
When you started, we took you through all the raids as a backpack, essentially.
Yeah.
And we were just like, right, just sit there, and then we went and did it.
Yeah.
And you obviously like just sat and watched, and then like
you were watching
the better gear.
But then you guys were really good as well, for the point of whenever we went to do something, you told me exactly what each one of you were doing. It wasn't a case of, right, Shauni, just go sit and do this. So that when we did jump into it again, like, I'm just using one of the Oryx phases, for example. The bit where you've got the 3 rooms, and you've got 3 people on each side. For that bit, you were telling me exactly what was going on in the other room, and exactly what I had to do, and where things would come out. And you were very good at giving descriptions. I could probably run that, but not with my eyes closed, but run that perfect from knowledge now,
but
with no issues at all.
But it's one of those things where it was something that we had to get really used to as a team on that game, was getting used to what every single person's role was. And there were certain parts and certain raids where everybody had
a set job.
Yeah.
I was Dunkmaster.
Especially towards the end, and especially with Oryx. I'm glad you brought up the Dunkmaster thing, because there's 2 kind of phases. There's the daughters of Oryx, and then immediately followed by Oryx himself. Now, that I love, because the bit that I absolutely adore about that thing was that we had our team of 6 that would go in, and we would do that raid, and we would perfect it, and everybody had their jobs. And when one of those people wasn't there, like say for example, Stephen wasn't in that night, but Emma was, and she wasn't one of our regulars, it was really great because we would just be like, right, Emma, you're with us, you're going to this side, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, that's what Stephen normally does, you just do his role and fit in where that is. this is where Stephen normally sits, so you're him right now. So if I accidentally say, Stephen, get on the plate, just take that as you to do it. It's one of those things where we just were in a habit for like sticking to a system. But the thing is that our system worked so well and we were so descriptive with how we personally did it, because everybody's got their own call-outs, everybody's got their own things that they kind of like to do, and different ways that they like to do things, but we were very descriptive with the way that we called stuff out, and with the way that we did things, so that anybody else could jump in and do it as well.
Yeah. Even the stuff for like Golgroth.
Yeah.
That was the hardest bit for me, because
we were just talking about a different game entirely earlier on. We were talking about Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and the fact that I used to sit and play it with only one person. So when me and Ross sat down to do it as Let's Plays, he was naming things differently, he was doing different words, different call-outs, we were describing things differently. You had to relearn the entire game almost. And again, if we sit down to do it, Shauni, it's going to be a whole new game again.
Yeah.
Because you will learn things totally differently and you'll work with each other in a very particular way.
That was one of the reasons why I brought up Golgroth, because I have seen, because I used to watch, is it Datto Does Destiny or something?
Yeah, he was the big one for doing the guides.
So before we went in, and I actually went in and kind of watched how he did it, because at the time someone had told me that that's how exactly you guys did it, but you didn't.
No.
You did it slightly differently. For that, I was watching it and I kind of memorised that playthrough, but then when I came to play it with you guys, you did it in basically, and it was a longer way, but it was trying to think of the word. It was
Less
more
frantic.
reliable. Like you knew you were going to get through it. There wasn't as much panic or anything like that.
Because the method that I think you're on about is the fact where you would knock down the orbs in sequence, whereas we did a kind of one orb method where it was a little bit more frantic. But if we worked out that if you got the orb timing down for just one orb, if you got the buffs right at the right time, the shield or the fire in the right place at the right time, and you had people doing their jobs, if you just stuck with that one orb to the very bitter end, the last second, you would do as much damage as trying to reposition everybody around all the 6 orbs.
Yeah.
And it was just so much easier to stick with that because it was more reliable, because you were just in, do your damage, get out, no repositioning, no thinking about it, just doing it.
Yeah.
I really want to play Destiny now.
I think the only job we ever had that we couldn't put anybody else into was Dunk Master.
Yeah.
Because I always did it. Alex could do it.
But then it's the same as with when we were still doing Crota. It was always down to you or Alex as the hunters with the speed that would
grab the sword.
Sword and do that thing.
I tried because you know how it gives you the random person to do it first, and then it gives you the choice. Well, when it got to the random bit and it was me, I always bailed out in it, and I think it was actually you, Ross, who said just try it this once. I managed to do it once, never could have done it ever again.
Yeah, but it's always one of those things that, like, with that raid particularly, I'm cautious of time, we're going to need to wind down, but with that raid particularly, there was a couple of things that were a lot more random that you couldn't really predict. Similar with Vault of Glass, with people getting transported, you couldn't really predict who it was going to be. But what I really liked about that was the fact that it forced people to try things that they normally wouldn't. Because, especially with Crota, you got very set in who did what job, to the point where some people wouldn't really have any major jobs to do throughout the whole thing.
Or communication, as it was with me and Alex. Like, me and Alex, when we went into the final room, we didn't even have to speak to each other. We knew that, we knew Alex runs left, I run right, we run up the stairs, we take out the,
those knights, I think,
knights.
yeah.
We then run out, we reload our rocket launchers, we go back in, we take out the shriekers, and then the witches come out. And by the time the witches are out, you guys have positioned yourselves with sniper rifles to take them out.
Yeah.
There was no conversation needed for that.
No.
We all just knew exactly what had to be done.
Yeah. It's just like, and it was one of those things that, like, you do get to the point, especially if you do it regularly with the same group of people, you need very few call-outs. And quite often, I remember actually once playing through, it might have been Oryx, especially quite at a late stage, and it wasn't even, like, I think it was when we were doing the glyph, like with the 2 rooms at the side, and doing the...
That's my favourite stage.
That bit is really good. It's for the War Priest demon you were that you go through the door to fight the War Priest. We did all of that without communication, like 3 or 4 times in a row. We managed to do it no problem. And one day we kept stumbling on it, and we were just like, "What's going on? What's happened?" And it was literally just like because one person was different or one thing had changed, one person
Was
wasn't
that
playing
not
it.
when I started joining in? And
I'm pretty sure it was just when one person played a different class, and that was all it took to throw off our groove for that.
Was that not when Alex changed and wasn't playing as Hunter? He was playing as Warlock.
It may have also been the same thing as that. I'm pretty sure Stephen was playing a Titan versus his Warlock, so that 2 class changes was just enough to throw off the groove from the group. Anyway, can't believe that's already been an hour. Holy shit!
Yeah,
like we've been going, but yeah, we better wind down. Thanks all for listening. Check out the channel. Subscribe if you want more.
Bye guys.
Bye.